Hey, welcome back. We're going to continue on diving deep into our admin functionality. Today, we're going to be doing our first part of the integration settings that are out there. Let's not muck around with any of this stuff. Let's head into it. Okay, before we get to the details, make sure you like this video, hit subscribe if you've never been here before. Would really appreciate it. It does help the channel. If you got questions, ask those questions down below. Share it with others in your organizations. Let's get into it. All right. So again, Fabric admin settings. First item out there. Allow XML endpoints in Azure in Excel with on-premise semantic models. This allows for users in your organization can use Excel to view and interact with on-premise Power BI semantic models. This also allows connections to XML endpoints. Basically, what this does is allow the Power BI service to be like a pass-through from Excel back to models that you'd be running with analysis services on-prem. Okay, it kind of does a round robin thing there, but because you could go directly to it, but you should be directing people to the Power BI service because it won't, you won't be on premise forever, right? You want people, eventually be able to migrate into the cloud, hopefully reducing those hops and the challenges there. Okay, so that's the first one. Enable this for your whole organization. There's very little potential challenges that you could go on here. All right. Next item. Semantic model execute queries REST API. What this does is allow users in the organization can query semantic models by using data analysis expressions (DAX) through Power BI REST APIs. Okay, so generally speaking, this is okay. Basically, you're gonna run a DAX expression through an API. You're not going to see a lot of this going on, at least in most organizations. So generally speaking, you're relatively okay. The potential challenge that you might get here, though, is if you have some, let's say, analysts or data scientists where you've given them access to like very large models to get some information, but you don't want to use that as the point where they extract all of that information out, because that can put a really, really heavy load on your semantic models as that is decompressed, presented, and then shipped out. All right, so the only time I'd really recommend putting like a restriction on this or limiting who's able to do this, or potentially drawing a line who can't do this, is if you run into problems like that, or if people are trying to use semantic models for a version of ETL, that's like the wrong tooling for that. You don't use Power BI for ETL. Okay, so that's the only thing I'd throw caution on here. All right, next item. Use ArcGIS maps for Power BI. Users in this organization can use ArcGIS maps for the Power BI visualization provided by Esri. By selecting enabled, you agree that ArcGIS maps for the Power BI may use Esri services located out of your Power BI tenant's geographic region, compliance boundaries, or national cloud instances. Esri may store and process your data in the United States or any other country in which Esri maintains facilities. Use of the ArcGIS maps for Power BI is subject to Esri. The setting applies to your entire organization. Now, these links out there kind of go through how this works and operates. I mean, Esri is a super powerful mapping component that you may or may not want to use. They even have some premium paid features and functionality that a lot of places will find useful and informational. Please do review this the legal jargon that's out there. You may find that this has got like lots of potential. Like maybe it's no problem inside your organization, but if you work inside of like a financial organization or healthcare, or you work in the EU, this might be the type of thing that's of significant concern to you. Okay, so it is kind of not uncommon for people to like disable this function until they can validate that this isn't going to cause any problems for you, because this is saying that like that data will be stored by Esri. So you kind of have to be careful with this one. Okay. All right, next item. Use global search for Power BI. Basically, I've got it makes it easier for people to search through all of the content that they have access to inside of the Power BI service or inside of Fabric, right? So if you type in sales in any of the search bars, you're going to start to get that same content. So there's a whole bunch of places where there are search bars and search access points that this will start to bleed into, allow you to like search broadly for stuff. Again, something that you probably want to have enabled. No harm, no foul in this one. All right, next one. Use Azure Maps visuals. Hey, just like with the Esri, with ArcGIS Maps, there's some kind of terms and conditions that you have to be aware of on this one. Okay, so there is a Azure Maps visual that and terms and services for the for Azure that you have to kind of be aware that you're accepting. It goes beyond what the terms and services for Fabric or for Power BI. So just be aware that this is out there. So if this is of concern, again, if you're a financial or healthcare organization or in the EU, you might want to consider this one as possibly disable that. All right, maps and filled map visuals. Same exact thing is going to be for this one as it is for maps visuals. Either you can use those types of APIs or you can't. Just be aware that that is going on. All right, and then the last one, integration for SharePoint lists and Microsoft lists. Can you create Power BI reports on it? Now, this is an interesting feature because it doesn't directly relate to Power BI. So I'm going to quick show this to you. So I did a little report at one point in time where I was tracking down my blood pressure, and so I was putting that into a PowerPoint list or a SharePoint list to track it. What I can do is I can go into this integrate Power BI and visualize this list. It'll go through and ask me to authenticate. It's then going to ask me, do I want to create a Power BI and semantic model on this SharePoint list? I can go ahead and click on create report. It's going to then go through and it's going to generate the report. We'll speed up a little bit here so that you can take a look at it. This may or may not be useful for you. Generally speaking, it's a quick report for a SharePoint list. This can be a really powerful feature that some business users really like. Personally, I kind of like it because it gets me to an 80% point really quickly that I can then go back in and make small adjustments to in order to get to that 100%, right? To be able to do that analysis, especially if we're talking with something as little as a SharePoint list when it comes to sizing, all right? Okay, now that's it for today. Come back for the next episode. We'll keep going through these integration items out there so that you are up to speed on all of these different options. If you're finding this overwhelming and just too much, head over to kratosbi.com. I've got a little button to get yourself a data guide. Hit that, fill out. It's like a 3-question form. It'll go to me and my associates. Someone will get back to you, and we'll help you get through whatever hurdles or challenges that you're having. All right? You have a great day. Peace. Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.